Well, hello there. Welcome to this week's video. I'm Karen from karenandtara.org. And you might wonder, are we in the end of times? Because it certainly could seem that way, the way the world is going right now. If you listen to the prophecies that have been around for a long time, it could seem that way. And there is so much fear porn out there at the moment, on social media, and then the fake mainstream news and all of that kind of thing. Sometimes I think it can feel really hard to hold yourself in a higher vibrational state of being, in a place of hope and positivity. But that's by design, of course, right? And it is not in the best interests of the controllers, let's call them, if you raise your frequency, expand your awareness, and see the big picture, like actually many of us can do now. But the thing is, what we call the normies, the people that are sleeping, they don't have a problem with this. It's kind of almost like it seems as if you were asleep, you'd be having an easier ride right now. Oblivious. But the point is, we didn't come here to do that, did we? The thing that worries me, saddens me really, is that a lot of spiritual people, awake people, have gone back to sleep over the last few years. That's pretty sad. And I've seen them go into, the doom and gloom, or, maybe they took the black pill and it's like everything, is going to hell in a handbasket and it's complete chaos and utter destruction. And I get it, because on one level you could say that's exactly how it is and what we're seeing. But also, from my perspective, I see so many signs of hope and so many people awakening, and that it actually excites me. I think, yay, we're going to do this. So I'm filled with hope and positivity, even though, it looks pretty dire at times, doesn't it? But holding ourselves in that higher vibrational state of being, I do believe, is going to lead us to a better place. It always feels good to be in that state. Not, kind of pie in the sky, wishful thinking kind of thing. But, I think we have to have a very grounded approach to this and really look at what we're being shown and what's kind of really going on underneath, because it's never what it first appears to be on the surface. So, a bully doesn't want his victim to become empowered, does he? It doesn't serve him to have the bully, in the playground or whatever, stand up and say, no more, I won't tolerate this anymore, right? And we see that in marriages, where there's a narcissistic partner and the other one says, nah, I'm done. Draw a line in the sand, walk away or whatever. But the thing is, the whole structure that is in place here, in this plane of existence, right, is not set up to empower people. It's quite the opposite, actually. And we must remember that wars are all about money. If you follow the money, you will see, who's at the top, right? Because actually, though it's always the normal people or the small people that suffer in wars, in lockdowns, it's not the corporations and it's not the governments that suffer. It's always us, the normal people. When they declare a recession, it's the normal people that suffer. Even when there's a global financial crisis or collapse, the people at the top suffer less than the people at the bottom of the scale of wealth, right? And it's always been the case that there are the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor, two separate experiences of life here, really. And that gap is ever widening, it seems. But I don't think it has to stay that way forever, to be honest, though I can acknowledge that some people, have got a long way to go before they even meet the standards of a comfortable and peaceful life. And, they're in such struggle currently. But I never think that something can't be done. There are ways through this, but it's step by step and it can take time. Forever, we have questioned the inequality. And, we look at billionaires who have so much money that they really could considerably shift the balance. And, we could ask why they don't dig into their pockets and give a little. But no, because their pockets are sewn shut, aren't they, to make sure the money doesn't escape. The bit that really got me recently was that video that was going around when the Maui, after the Maui fires, and Oprah was coming out with the rock guy, don't know his real name, but him, and asking for donations to help the people. It's like, put your hand in your own freaking pocket. But this is the problem. Of the billionaires that do give, there are often strings attached, and it's for personal gain or for protection or for immunity. And that's the dark side of money, because that we know there's a lot of corruption and manipulation that goes on with these top elite people, right? But it's not actually anything to do with the money at all. The money itself is neutral. It's the person holding or dealing with the money that is dark, or corrupt, or compromised. Their consciousness is dark, and their energy. And it seems that the money becomes tainted. It carries the dark secrets of the power elite. But I love money. I love talking about money because it has the capacity to do so much good in this world. When good people have a lot of money, they do good things with it. And there are many that do, of course. And interestingly, those are the ones that we rarely hear about, right? Because they're giving generously from their heart and they're doing good things, but they don't necessarily splash it everywhere, all over social media. But the point is, these people, they have to be good on the inside first, because the more money that you have, the more your intrinsic nature will be amplified, because money is energy and it's an amplifier of whatever it is that is already there. People get out of control when it comes to money. If money comes their way, and in fact, if their money consciousness is askew, then they will be more likely to be the kind of person that sells their soul in a bid to acquire even more, because this is then where greed comes in. And equally, if you come across money, like say you win the lottery or something like that, if your money consciousness is not good, if you have a poverty consciousness, you won't be able to hold on to it. No matter how much you win, you will still, unless you can radically shift your money consciousness, right? You will always return to what is your base level. So if you are used to only having, $100 or $1,000 in your bank account, even if you win multiple millions, eventually you will end up with your 100 or your 1,000, because that's your base level, that's your common, your familiar, if you like. Unless you work on your money mindset and your consciousness and you really get on top of where your limitations have come to, you will always return back to your baseline. And some people actually end up more broke than before they won the multiple millions. And that's actually, they've done a lot of research studies on that. You can find them. I don't have the references to quote them, but they do exist because I have seen them at times. Anyway, as I was saying, people go astray when there's money involved. It seems to awaken more and more greed and manipulation that's inside of them, And again, that's the dark side of money. And we see it in politics, we see it in the music industry, obviously in Hollywood, or pedowood, as I now see it being called in many places, and even in religion, of course. If you have a look at how much the gold the Vatican has, stored away and tightly held, and how many spiritual gurus over the time have had, a big collection of Rolex watches or Rolls Royces and things like that. And they say they are spiritual, and they may be to some degree, but they are not immune to greed, because it's part of their shadow that they haven't dealt with yet. So people say that money is a way of measuring wealth, but it's not wealth in and of itself, is it? So if we were to hand out wads of notes to a person with poor money consciousness, it would be only helpful to him or her for a relatively short period of time. So it might be, if it was, like a homeless person, it would be, a meal, a few meals, a bed for the night, or a few nights, but it would be, the benefit would be relatively short term. Yet setting them up with what they need to become sustainable could last infinitely. And it's that proverb, isn't it? If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, and if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. It's that kind of thing. And it's because it's around consciousness, personal development, accountability. It's all of that kind of thing. So could you imagine the difference it would make if some of these billionaires actually came along and, proverbially taught people how to fish? As a metaphor, of course. But no, people are left disempowered and ill-equipped for life. And it's all in their own mind as well. That's a lot of where the problem is. Now, I'm not blaming this person for being dumb, but the point is, we are not taught how to think well. We're certainly not taught how to manage money. And, a person that has nothing is no less than you or I. Even when you find yourself broke or having to borrow money to pay your bills, you are not less than anyone else. We're the same. Yet, if you feel less than, if you feel not worthy in any way, you will find it much harder to get ahead in life, because it's all in your mind. It's your perception of your place in this world and what you are capable or worthy of achieving. Because there have been some amazing stories of people being absolutely down and out and homeless and then going on to achieve great things. So it's not impossible. But we do really have to find it from somewhere deep within ourselves to, get up and keep going when we're in a dark or low place. It's about the words that you say to yourself. It's about how you use your power, your energy. And here's the thing, actually, that money is energy. It's a representation of your energy. And I know that might be hard to wrap your head around at first, that money is energy, is power. But we know that money talks, don't we? Money holds power. But the money comes from us, because at its core, money is spiritual energy. So money, like energy, flows through the universe, kind of makes the world go round. And it represents an exchange of value and also the interconnectedness of all things. If we could view money as a spiritual energy, we can begin to shift, really shift ourselves out of the 3D construct that we see here to a more elevated level of consciousness. So we need to see and acknowledge the corruption within the government, for example, and set that firmly in place as part of the 3D construct. To be in this world but not of it, we need that elevated viewpoint and the understanding of why things are the way they are. But does it have to affect us in the way that they want it to affect us, which is obviously keeping us diminished and struggling? We know that that is part of the plan for 2030, the agenda. Give them nothing, they'll be happy, that kind of vibe, right? So it's very clear that that's where they want us to be. But could you imagine if we really understood that and really understood that we are so much more than that? And if we took our power and we moved ourselves into an elevated level so that we could really get this big picture overview, take our power back and say, no, because it doesn't have to be this way. And from this elevated position, I can see a better way. And imagine if many, many of us got that view and we began to be the creative force in the world that we actually are. And we began to develop new ways, new structures, new systems, because actually I believe that that's what we are moving forwards to. Many kind of spiritually minded people can see that we operate here under the law of giving and receiving, that exchange of energy. The energy we put out into the world is returned to us in many ways. Love and abundance, but financial abundance too. So the point is, though, it must be given freely, with an open heart, and with no expectation of reciprocity, and yet with a faith that the reciprocity will actually occur. So it's like the in-breath and the out-breath. When you breathe out, you don't fear and worry that there will be nothing that comes back in again when you need to inhale. You breathe out and you have faith and trust that it will come back. It's a little bit like that with money, especially, I think, when it comes to investing money in yourself or in your development or personal growth or your health, something like that. So you give out the money with full faith that the good will come back, like the in-breath, the out-breath. It's that constant flow and exchange of energy. You know it will come back to you. But if you doubt and you go into money and into worry and fear that the money won't pay you back, that there will be no return on investment, well, then you get a little bit misaligned, right? So you put your money out there and you really believe that you will get something good back from it, a return on investment, some awakening, some growth, some health, whatever, right? So you put your money out there, and before you have the opportunity to kind of reap the rewards, you go into fear and worry. Oh my God, it might not work. By then, you're not even in the right alignment to receive back. So there's a misalignment there. So you kind of, in your elevated level of consciousness or inspiration, you put your money out there and it should come back at the same level, right? At this level here. I don't know if you can see. Okay, that way. You put your money out, it should come back. And it may even elevate you. But what happens is you put your money out there, you go into fear, and now you drop your level. And now what was going to come back is not there anymore because you're down here in a worry and fear state vibration, right? So you've misaligned. In my experience, that faith and belief that it will work out, that it will all work out, that just seems to arrive gradually. there is a knowing there that you are being looked after, that everything will work out well. You just have to keep the faith, keep the belief. You will be looked after. But the thing is, you can't make this happen. It just happens naturally. And, it's a little bit like when you're trying to get a little bit fitter or lift weights, right? You don't go into the gym and start lifting 30 kilos or whatever. You start with, well, if you're like me, you start with 5, right? But you're going to build up to it, right? You can't go in there and just expect these massive results. It's work. It's a step-by-step process. When we receive money as spiritual energy, we recognize it as a tool for our growth. Then our financial choices become reflective of the value, our value, and our worth. And we choose to invest in ourselves, in our growth, in our health, in our personal development, in our expansion of our consciousness. That's using money as a spiritual energy to grow and amplify all the goodness that we are. And when we view money as a spiritual energy, then we move away from acquiring stuff just for the sake of it. The material possessions don't fill our cup anymore in the same way as personal development would. Or, I would much rather spend money on some personal development books than, well, I don't know, stuff. It means nothing to me, Now, that doesn't mean to say that you can't have that other stuff, though. I have beautiful things in my house. I have a beautiful home, and I go out and eat in nice restaurants, and I bought myself a brand new car last year, I have stuff, but I don't crave for it because my internal state of being is so much more important to me. I would spend more money on this, than the other stuff. This is one of the errors that people make. Excuse me, I just really need a sip. I've talked for longer than I planned to. But people think that, I'm so spiritual and money and blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't have those things. I shouldn't have nice clothes. I shouldn't have, a nice bit of jewelry that I like. I shouldn't have that. It's frivolous or it's materialistic and I shouldn't have that. That's not the way it is at all. If it brings you joy, then fine. But it's that craving, that need. And why do you need it? If you look at it and you go, wow, I really love that. I'm going to buy myself. I'm going to treat myself because I'm worth it. That's a very different mindset than, I really have to have this latest handbag or this latest outfit because it will make me look something, or it will make me fit in, or people will think I've got this, all of that illusory, fakey stuff. Different mindset completely. Anyway, I'm completely getting off track. What was I going to talk about? There you go. When we become wealthy on the inside with this spiritual energy, we begin to foster this feeling of gratitude and appreciation. And that's a level of expansion as well. Because you can't really fake gratitude and appreciation. You can try. You can say all the right words. Benji's getting comfortable back there finally. He's been hovering here because he wants to go out for his walk. So you can pretend that you are grateful and in appreciation, but you really can't fake it because the truth is the truth. And gratitude and appreciation are a vibration. And you either have that vibration or you don't. There is no faking that. And the thing is, when you give to the world by way of your skills, your gifts, your talents, then you will be receiving back for that. And yes, you are allowed to charge money for your skills and for your services, and you should, because that is the energy exchange. It's also one of the things that holds many spiritual people, healers and people like that back. And I've seen it, and probably I was there myself, but not for a long time. But healers, they don't like to charge much for their services. Even they say, oh, well, you know, it's spiritual energy. It's not me doing the healing. I'm just channeling it. You know, you still need to charge because you have developed yourself to allow that to come through, to hold and create a beautiful space for your client to come to receive what they need. So you must charge for that. That is the energy exchange. If you've ever tried to breathe all the way out by giving, and then never receive back the breath, you will soon die. Think of it like money, or, you know, the energy of money. You give and give and give and give and give. If you have nothing coming back, you're going to be homeless pretty soon. You're going to be hungry very soon because you have to receive back in. It's an energy exchange, you know. Potentially as a healer, you may heal someone to the point that their life absolutely transforms. You might save their life. How much is that worth? Oh no, I don't charge for the healing. That's distorted. It's not the flow of energy that you're meant to be in, the exchange. I keep getting off track. If you give of yourself and you make a difference in the lives of other people, then your pay is for that service. It's for the difference that you make in their life. And that person, you know, they want to pay you, really. They want to give you gratitude and appreciation for the gift that you've just given them. Now, whether that is a cleaner that comes into your house or, you know, my lady was here yesterday and we have great conscious conversations. She cleans my house. I give her money. I happily give her the money. It's a beautiful exchange of energy. She does for me something that I don't want to do, quite honestly. And I give her the money and then she goes and does something that she wants to do with that money. There, it's the exchange. So it's true. Money does make the world go round. Give, you know, generously and freely from your heart. I'm not going to pay her with resentment because it's the exchange. You know, this we have to shift our energy around. Same as bills, right? If you pay a bill, the electricity bill, and crikey, we know they're rorting the system and jacking up the prices, in order to try and not go into hatred of the energy company, let's say, well, you know, I am grateful. I'm grateful for that because I've got lights here. I've got my computer running. I've got my internet running. And my value exchange for that is I have to pay for that. And sure, nobody wants to pay inflated prices. That's part of the corruption. But we have to manage that in the best way we can and see the gratitude. I am grateful that I have this electricity in my house. It just shifts the consciousness a little bit around it. So the point is, it makes no difference what you're paying for, whether it's coaching, healing, you know, buying food, buying clothing, buying electricity. It's a value exchange. We have to do it if we want, you know, this kind of level of life. I pay for my petrol for my car because I want to go places. My return on investment is that I get to go places. I get to see places, I get to visit, I get to spend time with friends and family that are not in walking distance. So I have to do that. And I do it happily, really. Even though, yeah, they're jacking up the prices. But I have to maintain my level of appreciation for the fact that I can still travel, because what's the alternative? Oh yeah, they want you in these little cities where you could walk everywhere in 15 minutes. No, that's not what I'm having. So I'm not going to align to going into, hatred and resentment about the price of the fuel for my car that allows me to go anywhere that I want. And this is what we're up against, right? So we have to really watch where our consciousness is. If I'm here resenting money so that I can drive, 2 hours to Sydney and go out for the day or whatever. If I'm in resentment of that, what's the opposite? Oh, a 15-minute city where I'm locked in. So I touched on this last week in my video when I'm looking at duality. I was talking about Israel, Palestine. So if, you want the Israelis to win, it's because the Palestinians die. If you want the Palestinians to win, it's because maybe Israeli people die. There's always the opposites. So what I'm focusing on is gratitude, that I can pay for things, have these things to experience a beautiful life. Because the alternative would be, 15-minute city where I can't go anywhere and I have no money. And I'm happy? No, I wouldn't be happy, and nor would you. And this is why this money consciousness, we need to have this overview of what's really going on in the world and our place in it and our power to make a difference. So clearly I'm passionate about that. Where all of this goes wrong is in our mind, if we've got our mind in the wrong place, as I've kind of explained a bit already. When we act from a place of greed, when governments take our energy, spiritual energy, in the form of taxes that are mostly illegal anyway, in fact, probably all illegal, when you really look into it, right? We're looking at the private sector versus the public, right? And then when bankers, on behalf of governments, raise interest rates to the point that people lose their homes. That's 3D money, greed, corruption, designed to disempower the people. And that's where we have to stand up against that as sovereign beings and say, no, we won't accept this anymore. We can see the big picture here. We do not consent to these 3D games of manipulation even, and control. And then we take our power back, just like you would from the schoolyard bully, just like you would from a narcissistic or abusive person in your life, even boss, right? Their agenda is total control through their cities in a box plan that I've talked about, and through the monetary system. And they alone control every detail of that. They want to. And it's designed to make us act and behave in certain ways, again, that fit into their plan. But that's not what we're here for. And we didn't come here at this particular time in Earth history to go over that all over again. We know that they've reset history many, many times here. What if this is the time that it gets to change? I actually believe it is the time that we get to change. I always say we have a rocky road for a little while, but come on, let's do this. It's worth it. Really, it is worth it. The question at this time then, will enough of us stand up and say no? Or will we find ourselves caving in once again to the schoolyard bully and having to repeat the whole cycle again? Because it's been repeated many, many times here. Are there enough of us awake to this that we can turn history around, turn it on its arse and stop it in its tracks? They want another reset. That's what they're planning on having, another reset. We want an awakening. And that's what I'm focused on, an awakening. No fear, just focus. What about you? Where's your focus? Is that something that you would like? If it's something that you would like, I think we need to come together. We need to help each other to see and understand the bigger picture and to stand up against it. We may be past the point of awakening people. I've learned that you can't wake people up when they don't want to be woken up. And goodness knows, we still see people driving in their cars on their own with a mask on. Like, really? They're not going to awaken anytime soon. In fact, they've probably already got their room booked in the 15-minute city, right? Because the government tell them to. So those are lost. We have to appreciate that we're going to lose some people here, but probably they were never our people anyway. Let's look out for us. Let's stand up for our sovereignty, our freedom, because I 100% believe that's what we came here to do now. Whether you consider yourself a spiritual person or not, the point is, if you're listening to this, you're one of us. You don't have to be all spiritual on your ass about it. You just have to be awake. You just have to be aware. You have to be conscious, right? And that's what this is all about, as far as I'm concerned. So let's look after each other. Let's love each other. Let's look at each other as, a collective, if you like, because we're on the same page with this. We cannot afford to cave in this time, because it's a whole 22,500 year cycle to come back to this point again, if you believe that, right? That's been written in ancient script and text that are mostly hidden from us because they don't want us to know that. But the point is, so many of us are awake now. We are accessing ancient knowledge that has been tried to be hidden and buried on this planet. But the point is, we've got that knowledge, and knowledge is power. And we have to stand up and we have to use that power now, because we have that power within us to make a difference in the world. So stay strong, stay awake, don't fall back to sleep. Don't take sides in these awful battles that are not for us. They're 3D battles of the corruption and the greed and the money and the manipulation and the putting us into terror and fear. That's what that's all about. Don't get sucked into it. Rise above it. Keep your focus on creating a beautiful new earth for us all to experience the joy. Well, that's my lecture for today. I hope hope it's given you some things to think about. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking with you again next week. Oh, let me just say thank you so much to everybody that's either commented on my other videos, and I had a lot of emails and private DMs sent to me this week, actually, in response to last video. So I do want to thank you for that. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to message me and appreciate me and the things that I put out there. I hope to inspire you and to give you something to think about. And I'm always open to a conversation about this with you. Love to hear your thoughts. Awesome. Check out my social media, of course, Instagram, Facebook. I'm here on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. Check out my website, karenandtara.org. And please like, share, subscribe, because that's the only way that I can get my message out there a little bit further. So if you found it useful, please share it on, and let's get this word out, because the algorithms of YouTube won't like me otherwise and I'll be lost. Okay, have a great week. Bye-bye.